How you doing?
I'm doing great, my dear brother Sirdam. Thank you so much for that beautiful opening monologue. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us on today's episode of the Violence Space. It's always a pleasure to do this with you, my brother Sirdam. N6, I see you. God bless you. Always a pleasure hanging out with you guys. Now, I'll start my submission, which might be a bit lengthy, but please indulge me, ladies and gentlemen. A very wonderful evening to you from this part of the world, and thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of the Violence Space, Nigeria's number one political Twitter space. You can't argue that. A unique platform that's grown into one of the integral elements of the new Nigeria that we dream of. A platform that enables us to express our misgivings and discomfort as average Nigerians without any fear of censorship. Today, we're unmasking Tinubu's alpha beta, the land grab in Lagos, and the thuggery that has wholly overwhelmed Nigeria's commercial capital. I'll be focusing on the thuggery aspect in this opening monologue. My name is Omar. So walk with me, my fellow countrymen. Within Nigerian urban cities, area boys, popularly known as Agbero in the Yoruba language, are gangs that coordinate crime and illicit activity on the streets and motor parks across the country. They are a dangerous force to contend with and have become a deep seated problem in Lagos society. They are such a threat that many Lagosians have even adapted by pretending to be one of them. They sometimes even adopt their slangs and their guttural tone to avoid trouble. The lawlessness of area boys has become a severe concern in Lagos. They bully, threaten, and coerce transportation workers into giving up at least 50% of their income. They have overrun the streets of Lagos and caused anarchy. However, the government has yet to implement stringent laws to restore order. Almost all Agbero are officials of the National Union of Road Transport Workers, NURTW, which has allowed them to become ticketing touts. A report by Odinaka Anudu of the International Center for Investigative Reporting, ICIR, estimates that the Agbero makes a flabbergasting annual sum of about 123 billion naira, which is about $296 million from commercial transport workers. This amount comprises all the fees, the rates, the tolls, and other tax forms they squeeze out of commercial drivers, tricyclists, and even motorcyclists. A bus driver pays an average of 3,000 naira, which is about $7.23 to these area boys daily. Keke Marwa tricyclist drivers, they pay an average of 1,800 naira, which is about $4 to Agberos, with the daily total amounting to 90 million naira. That's about $217,000. An estimated 75,000 buses in the state, according to the ICIR, means that around 225 million naira, that's 542,000 US dollars, is being extorted each day from this single form of transport. Furthermore, Okada riders pay about 600 naira, which is $1.05 daily, summing up to 22 million naira, about $533,000. It can be concluded that Agberos in Lagos make nothing less than 337 million naira, about $812,000 daily, or a whooping 123 billion naira yearly. That's $296 million. According to the ICIR, the money generated to 29.4% of amounts to 29.4% of Lagos State's internal generated revenue, IGR. That's about 418 billion naira. The Agberos claim to be collecting road tax, but the money is never declared and does not make it to the state. So there is no doubt that this money is disappearing into private pockets. At bus stops and motor parks, Agberos harass commercial transport workers. Some workers have even become tired of this trade because of the touts, because of the way the touts erode their hard-earned profit. The frustration and bitterness from this creates a tense environment. So it's no surprise that violence has occasionally erupted between drivers, passengers, and other community members. Additionally, to make up for the money that they lose to area boys, most drivers increase or even double their transport costs to the detriment of the commuters. Consequently, Agberos are impoverishing and frustrating Lagosians. Now, besides their duty as ticketing touts, Agberos also peddle illegal drugs. They act as security bouncers and they extort money from Lagosians in other ways. Money for the boys, quote and unquote, is a common refrain when they ask for cash. They sometimes do this by putting up roadblocks to stop private cars and requesting a token to pass. Another major problem with area boys is that they threaten property and safety, as they all belong to different organized gangs, secret cults, which often have rivalries. These rivalries have resulted in several fights that have destroyed homes and shops and cost some innocent bystanders their lives. One of the most tragic stories to come out of Lagos in the last decade is that of the chairman of a unit in Surulere, an infamous incident. The man was killed in a brutal NURTW gang clash in 2019. It was collateral in a fight between the Aguda boys and the Mushi boys, with the former fighting to establish dominance over territory that they thought the Mushin boys were invading. A number of boys were arrested, though nothing could be done to bring back the life of the man that was killed. Area boys have also been known to work as thugs for politicians, and this is where I'm getting to. When Musiliu Akinsanya, better known as MC Oluomo, was appointed as the chairman of the Lagos State NURTW, he paid homage to Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, former Lagos State governor, and the presidential flag bearer of the ruling All Progressives Congress. When I mention the name of that party, I laugh because they become a joke. But we'll get to that. He mentioned that he's paying that homage because of Bola Ahmed Tinubu's love and support. Pay attention to the semantics. Love and support towards his emergence as the NURTW chairman. Would it be unreasonable to infer that some Agbero politician collaboration must have occurred behind the scenes? The thuggery of Agberos, the unnecessary killings, and the unfair ticketing is dragging down Nigerian society, yet the government is sluggish in addressing the issue. Over the last few days, we saw that the Nigerian army moved into action and arrested about 100 thugs in Lagos. I'd say that's more of a fight between the CPC and the ACN, but we'll get to that. The system is broken. When the citizens have to look over their shoulders when walking the streets, the commercial transport workers are being squeezed for every penny. They instill fear and dread in citizens. But the question remains, who can stop them? The answer is simple, my fellow Nigerians. We are the only ones with the capacity to put an end to this menace. The question is, are we prepared to do the needful? Lagos is undoubtedly a southwestern state, predominantly populated by the Yoruba ethnic group, many of whom, by a systemic deprivation of history in the educational curriculum anyway, have been hoodwinked into believing that ethnic politics is what serves the nation best at this critical junction, unfortunately. Our people seem happy to accept a man they wouldn't entrust their private businesses with in his current state as a presidential candidate, supposedly representing their region. Lagos is an urban slum with few metropolis carved out for the 1% of the 1%. It's no campaign material. And the handpicking of political cronies as state governors since Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu left office is no significant example of continuity. Neither is it an example of finding talents. Let's be honest with ourselves. Let's call it what it is. Political godfatherism. That is what it is, which is enabled by thugs, political cronies, family members, and aides who are direct beneficiaries of the rot. The average Lagosian and Nigerian remains the only victim in this political tragicomedy. We have to stop the rot. And the chance presents itself again at the ballot in 24 days. Lagosians have a more significant role in this election, with so much to gain as well. This election offers the chance to stop Tinubu at the national level and his hegemony at the state level. We must play our part. Our guest today on the Vawulence Space is Mr. Gbaribo Rhodes Viver, the gubernatorial candidate of the Labour Party in Lagos State. I'll be looking forward to that conversation. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a wonderful and interesting one. Once again, thank you so much for joining us on today's Vawulence Space. My name is Omar, and it's always a pleasure doing this with you guys. Sirdam.
My brother, thank you very much. Omar, you see all those stats